Ladies and gentlemen, wacha niseme kitu initoke, and it is about interest rates which are falling very fast and so many people are worried. Kuna watu wako stressed. So tutaangalia three things. One ni why this should not bother you at all. I'm not bothered whether the rates are coming down or they are remaining the same ama going up. Number two, what are the usual normal rates? And then the third thing, what is the main thing that you're supposed to focus on? I promise you, if you're going to do the things I'm going to tell you about in the main thing section, 2025 will look so good for you. Welcome to MoneyVersations. So yes, it is true, the interest rates are falling. Most of you came on board wakati rates zilikuwa zinaka 18% kwa kina Etica and the rest 17%. Some of you came in huko ma 16+%. And definitely right now when you look at the reviews, una notice that kuna venye rates zinaenda zikishuka, zikicome down. Right now most of the companies are playing at 13% and below. Of course we still have some which are above 15%, but the trend looks like most of the companies, vile tunaingia further into 2025, they are going to come down to about 10%, 11%, 12%. But why shouldn't this bother you? Number one, because the difference is not as much as you think, especially tukitoa kwa percentages and bring it down to real figures in your account. And let us look at it practically. Wacha tuingie kwa calculator hapa kidogo. So we're going to look at, let's take a random figure. For example, now we're going to look at if your balance is 150,000, for example, in your money market fund account, and the net rate is 15%. So let's do 150,000, multiply that by 15%, and then multiplied 15% is the interest rate for that particular month, or rather that day, whichever. Then 85%. If you do not yet know in details how the money market fund is calculated, I have a video. I will leave a link on the description below. But this is basically what happens. 150,000 is the principal, 15% ndio the rate, the interest rate, and then 85% is because what you get as 15% is not net of everything. Watu wa KRA watakata 15%. So 15% plus 85% ni 100%. So 85% ndio what remains with you after they've gone 15%. Then the return, divide it by 366. Because we are in 2024, it is a leap year. We have 366 days. That's why tuna multiply na, tuna divide na 366. So as you can see, the answer over there is 52.25 shillings thereabout. Then let's use the same balance and multiply it on 50,000 times. Let's bring it down to 12%. Yes, 12%, and then multiply it by 85%. You already know it, nile net after tax, and then divide it by 366. And then as you can see, our new answer over here is 41 bob. So down from 52 bob to 41 bob per day. I believe now you're beginning to understand why ninasema this should not really bother you, because the difference is not that big. Yes, it is money that can do something, but we are focusing on the wrong thing. So the second reason why you should not really be bothered by this is because majority of those who are watching this, wenye tena wamekasirika sana, their balances are not that big enough to provoke a reason why someone should be worried or concerned. And this is umeangalia hizo calculations zenye tumefanya right now, yenye ukirudi chini kidogo, let's go to someone mwenye yako na 50,000 kwa account. 50,000 kwa to multiply na 14% tuone inafaa kuja ngapi. 85% divide by 366 inakuja 16.25 shillings per day. Haya, tuirudishe chini, irudi paka 10%, imetoka hapo imekuja 11, hiyo ni 11 bob and 61 cents. So imeshuka from 16.25 to 11.61 per day. The normal rates za money market fund, I told you, mumekuja mkazipata, some of you, most of you mmejoin money market fund mkazipata zikiwa at 18%, 17%, 16%. Over the last 10 years that I've been in the game, ladies and gentlemen, there were so many years, like 5-6 years, when the average we were getting was 6%, 7%, 8%. So when you've just come and found things up there, you see what's basically happening right now is the economy readjusting. Things are settling down. After shake everything around, my interest rates zikakuwa zimeenda juu, the banks were lending at a very high rate, the government was borrowing at a very high rate, inflation was already very high. Now vitu zimeanza kurudi chini, watu wakianza kushiba wanaanza kukuwa na madharau ya kuboro sasa. Hata utaki kuboro sana, unapunguza borrowing. So ukianza kupunguza, the demand ya the interest rates pia inaanza kushuka chini. Like everything readjusts basically. Money market funds and the rest are adjusting pia to the same environment. That is why we are seeing a drop in the interest rates. So there is usually a normal average. Of course we could come up with a new average, but the usual average over the last 10 years inacheza between 8 and 10%. So when you're still getting 14%, you're still doing well. When you're getting 13%, you're getting 12%, you are actually above average. This is not kutetea mediocrity, but it is to help you understand what is happening and where are things supposed to be settling in. So what should you do instead? There are a few things actually that I'm going to suggest. You will be keeping the main thing. Number one, build your seed fund. This is you building your capital, the amount that you have invested. Your priority number one inafaa kukuwa topping up, fattening your cow, as I've said in other videos. Stop obsessing about inatoa maziwa kidogo. Feed it. Feed the asset. Take care of it. Make it grow. Ile kila bob yenye iko pale ndani ni kama waka. So unataka uko na 10,000 workers and you expect wakuletee return yenye 20,000 workers would. So for a long time, you've been focusing on the wrong thing. When it comes to this level, your first priority should be accumulation. Keep increasing the amount in your account. Wake up more effort in building, growing this fund. Someone with 200,000 over here, tumpatie 20% interest rate. Now this other one over here, 2 million, tumpatie half the interest ya huyu, tumpatie 10%. Who is going to go home with more money at the end of the month? Of course, your guess is as good as mine. Ukitumia ile formula yenye we just use right now, go and check it out. Now with these two examples alone, you understand why it is very vital ama important to put your focus not in the difference in interest rates. Imepanda, imeshuka. Ikipanda shukuru na enjoy the extra shillings. Ikishuka sikia vibaya kidogo, lakini move on very fast, because the focus should not be the interest rate that it's giving you, unless the interest rates are now coming back to you in negatives. When it's coming in negatives, hata mimi I'll be worried. I'll want to look at that very closely. Lakini at it just dropped by 5 points, 6 points, 2 points, that should not be your major focus. The second thing to help you succeed, whether interest rates are going up or down, don't rush to start a biz or a business or buy assets until you can be able to afford it twice. What do I mean? Kama kitu inauzwa 100,000 na uko na kama 110, 120 ama uko na 100k ama uko na 90k, don't go to put all that money in a business. Don't go to put it in an asset. Ati itanipatia return, ati nitaanza kuget something, ati hii business itapik, itaregesha hiyo pesa. Hata wengine you go to an extent whereby you put in 80% yenye ndio uko nayo, the total money uko na 80,000 and you need 100,000, hata unakopa 20, ati nitakulipa hiyo 20 once nimeanza kudeal. Out of some of the businesses do work, some of the assets do bring you money in return, but if you want to have peace of mind whether things are getting better or they are getting worse, don't buy it until you have twice the amount that you need to buy that thing. So if it is 100,000 bob that you need to start a business with, make sure you have at least 200,000 bob. Kama unafaa kununua kitu ya 50k, make sure at least uko na 100,000 bob. This will help you in case anything goes wrong in between. You do not get to a place whereby you lose all your money or lose a bigger portion of your money. At least utakuwa uko na fallback plan. I know risk taking wengine wako nayo, but if you're like some of us, you do not have the advantage of time to recover it, to play, to mess it, let it go back to zero, and that will get back, dust ourselves and get back up again. Practice some caution and make wise decisions. The third thing, build an emergency fund. This is another very crucial thing, very important as we go to 2025. My friend, please make sure that you put this down as your main focus. For some of you who've not opened your money market fund accounts yet, if you're going to open your fund, your money market fund account, or your account, whichever place that you're going to be saving your money, make sure that you first of all put your focus on an emergency fund. We've talked about it in the past. You can check it in the other videos. But an emergency fund helps you have a cushion. Just in case something comes up, you do not always have to rush to your asset to collect money. If something comes up and you didn't plan for, you do not run to your money market fund to withdraw. Ulikuwa uko na goal ya 365 days, uko na goal ya 52 weeks challenge, and then you have to go there to pick the money to come sort a mess that came up as an emergency. First of all, put all your focus. Whether it takes you the whole of next year to achieve your emergency fund, it should be at least 6 months equivalent of your expenses. For some, it should be 6 months equivalent of your income. So start small, jipange pange hapo in between, but let your focus be having an emergency fund. Ukifungua tu money market fund yako ya kwanza, the first focus, kama umekuwa ukisevia sijui ni nini, hiyo goal, wacha shikilie kidogo, get down to building an emergency fund. Ukianzisha biz, ama ununue asset, when you have an emergency fund, hautarudi kuuza ile asset in case things go bad. Hautarudi kuweka loan, kuchukua loan when something goes wrong, ukitumia hiyo asset yako kama security, because you will have a fallback plan. Build your emergency fund. Ikiattain that a level, anza sasa kubuild mdogo mdogo, kuexpand, but leave it there. It will come to save you. Hii ndio inafaa kukusave, sio hii savings zingine zenye una make for other goals. And last but not least, from experience, I was a very big ex-consumer, which is Twitter. Ilikuwa ni Twitter ama sijui Twitter. Hiyo, I was a very huge consumer. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa place yangu ya kwenda kucollect dopamine. Like wengine wengianga Instagram, wengine yako ni TikTok. Mi yangu ilikuwa ni X. So my last point of the day, sio about X alone, but avoid negative news if you want to succeed in 2025. If you want to succeed financially, if you want to achieve something substantial, please, I'm not saying that you should be living in your own bubble where you don't know what is going on. It is okay to familiarize yourself with what is happening, but make sure you may try as much to avoid negative news. This year has been full of several packages of very, very bad news. Oh, dollar will go to 200, Bob, and 250. The government will collapse. It will not pay the euro bond. People start getting stressed. So what are we going to do? Take off all your money from the banks. It's going to collapse. They are going to shut down. And all other stories. Hata si hizo peke yake. There are several others. Unasikia tu, oh, this is happening. This is going to happen. This is man, na sasa hizo zingine zinakuanga nazo. TikTok iko nazo. Lakini X, wako na special talent. They know how to amplify, especially negativity. I know it is making other people money, and some people are making progress with the same using negative news. Lakini for you, this is advice. I'm not saying that things are not bad. I'm not saying that economy haina challenges, but try to avoid negative news. Most of these things, oh, interest rates zinaenda kuanguka, everything is going to collapse, banks are going to collapse. Sijui what. It's okay. We will adjust when things happen. Wewe kama investor, be ready. Risk is there, yes, but most of the problems zinakupatia high blood pressure, most of them are not even real. So try as much to avoid negative news. Try as much to keep the main thing. Focus in building your seed fund, and you will have a successful year. Wacha tu niachie hapo. God bless you and all the best. Happy investing.